button and we are ready to roll. So guys, welcome back to another live stream of Box Mining. Today is Friday. It's Friday already. It is the 19th of March here in Hong Kong. Bright and early in the morning, 11 o'clock. We are ready to talk about cryptocurrencies. And today is not the best day for crypto. I definitely see a little bit the signs of a little bit of a blood shed on the market. So yeah, we have quite a lot of red appearing on the charts this morning. Wait, why is it not? Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So we see a little bit of blood in the morning. 3 to 4%. It's not the end of the world, but definitely I think a lot of people are. This morning I saw a lot of people were a little bit concerned because obviously the market has been extremely strong the past entire week, and a lot of people were very worried about when is this going to come down to the end. And this is very much perpetuated by mainstream media. When Bitcoin dropped from $61,000, mainstream media was like, oh my god, it's over, oh my god. But with crypto, ironically, this is a time that makes me super excited because this is where all the deals are, right? This is when the market kind of pulls back a little bit, allows people to re-enter the market if they exited, or allow for better entry points because of the market moving down a little bit. And then, of course, I feel like there's so much going on this year, especially with how there's so many different projects making crypto a lot easier. At the end of the day, I think that's quite key because a lot of people who I talk to, they don't understand that people in crypto are getting like 20, 50, 100% annual percentage yield on their current, like on their stable coins too. A lot of people don't understand that they can just have exposure to the US dollar and still earn a lot better rates in the banks. That's the power of decentralized finance here. And even like we've seen articles where the Bank of America is literally saying, yo, you know what, this decentralized finance thing, maybe they're onto something. Just maybe, just perhaps, maybe we should take a look before it's a little bit too late. And we definitely see whatever is happening in crypto leading the way. I mean, Bitcoin led the way, and now we have central bank digital currencies, right? CBDCs coming in, and governments trying to issue a digital version of their currency, trying to compete with Bitcoin. Now we're going to see that the same thing happen with decentralized finance as well, a more transparent network, and a whole ecosystem of financial applications. All of it is open, all of it is available to everyone to both observe and to participate. And that's where the direction of crypto is going, right? And the banks already see this. So I definitely see that this is a very powerful time. It's a very powerful turning point. Obviously, of course, a lot of people don't realize this. But we'll talk about all the other stuff in the market. We saw some hacks that have happened over this week as well. So we're going to pay a little bit of attention to that too. And with that, guys, let's get started. Make sure you guys, if you guys are coming in for the first time, make sure you guys smash up those likes. It really does help this channel. This channel is all about providing the insight that mainstream media doesn't cover. And the thing about this power of YouTube is that it's open to everyone. I know there's a lot of YouTube out there. I think there was recently I've seen a lot of YouTube hate, and I'm trying to make this channel very different. Not just about the hype, right? I mean, I think a lot of it's very easy to hype on YouTube because YouTube, it boils on emotion, but this channel is very different. It's about strategy, it's about thinking, it's about planning, it's about really about learning. That's kind of very key here, because if you understand what you're doing, you're going to be very much ahead in this space. And that's exactly what happened during the dot-com bubble. People who were insiders of the industry, who knew what was going on, who knew the people, who knew the insight, who knew the information, they are ahead. So make sure, if you guys want to be ahead, click that subscribe button down below. It really does make sure that you get the latest news out there. Notification bell as well. Some surprise live streams coming up. Lots of insight too. So smash those up, smash the likes. Let's get started. All right. Let's see. Well, the markets right now, definitely we see a little bit of blood on the markets. I think there were there was a little bit of concern, but to be honest, seeing these figures makes me super happy still. I mean, Bitcoin $57,000, Ethereum $1,700, right? And we definitely see that today there was some minor pullbacks, all right? Like a lot of times when we look at the market and overall conditions, we look at if there's asymmetry in the market, right? Is there more red than there is green, or is there more green than there is red? We definitely see that the power, the magnitude of the green. So we see Pundi, Harmony, Arweave, Sia Coin, Balancer, they're all pushing up very aggressively. But we also see a lot of red in the top 100 today. So we definitely see that there's a little bit of a pullback today. It's not definitely not the end of the world, but it's also a sign that the market's calming down a bit, right? So the last few weeks, the market was really propelled by those stimulus checks, right? The stimulus checks were coming in. People knew that was happening. In fact, there was a survey, right? There was a survey that said literally Americans could spend up to $40 billion from stimulus to buy Bitcoin. So that was kind of what pushed crypto up. This news that the stimulus is coming, that it's signed, it's going through its way, and eventually it will or might. Of people of hopeful, like 60% of respondents said that they'll invest in Bitcoin over stock. So yeah, definitely a lot of interest there, and a lot of fear of missing out, especially in the front of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was front and center on the news, and that's why there was a mass propelling up. Bitcoin passed $61,000. Let's take a quick look at the charts too. Let me just load that up here. So that was kind of the story that was coming in, but at the same time, obviously, people took advantage of this too, right? So because there was that hype, because of that, there was a fear of missing out. Obviously, Bitcoin did go up, but now it needs to have a little bit of a time to calm down a little bit, just a little bit. So if you look at the charts, what we saw here was that last time we saw the charts, Bitcoin did break past that initial barrier of $60,000, right? So you saw it rallying above $60,000, but then it got rejected. So it didn't really manage to explore the $70,000 territory. So everyone is eyeing that, right? Everyone was eyeing that once it passed through this barrier, once it broke through those walls, then it would go to 74 or 72K, depending on how you view it, but it didn't really go there. So it did seem that the bears took control in the end on the 13th of March, and then we kind of dropped down to $56,000. Another attempt at the rally. So we definitely see that the wall is there. I'm going to move the wall up a little bit. So this is the wall that we're trying to break through for Bitcoin at this current point. So everyone's kind of very much eyeing this. Yes, we are peeling back a little bit, but this might be where the accumulation happens, where people who are looking or on the fence about Bitcoin, they can take a major position. Well, that's kind of where the market narrative is. Potentially, obviously, there is room there. Last time we saw the support here, last time we saw was quite strong at $45,000. So you just have to be careful that, the Bitcoin is not only always going to go up. Not financial advice, of course, but I think a lot of people have this hype and FOMO, fear of missing out of what's happening. And I definitely see that, this is these are times where the excitement hasn't really reached this crescendo yet. I feel like this is where, the market has been very much responding very well to Bitcoin this year. And I don't think that's going to stop at all, because this kind of whole wave highlighted some of the weaknesses of the financial system, and also gave a lot of strength to decentralized finance, to everything that's going on, a lot of validation too. So definitely what I'm eyeing for next week, the coming week, is that we're going to try to approach and attack $61,000, $62,000, and then really kind of push all the way to $70,000. That's kind of where the next really big kind of objective area is. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, of a big wall at around $70,000. A lot of people are anticipating quite a lot of kind of profit taking in this during this period of time as well. So that's something to watch out for. So around the next kind of, if we go up, the next kind of major targets to look out for is $70,000. And then once past 70, we could go to about 120. I think a lot of people give these big numbers out. I'm going to be a little bit more calm here. I'm going to say there is a lot of resistance at around $70,000. That's where the kind of the data kind of currently suggests. So just that's where I'm kind of piecing it together. I'm looking forward to that target, and then that's for me. And then we'll kind of prepare for the next big wave. Personally, on the chart, so something that we do look at as well is this chart, the rainbow chart, which I find relatively useful. We are in a cycle of, it's weird, right? These things shouldn't be, but we are definitely in one of those cycles where we're really pushing up. If you actually look at where we are at now, so this is the time between 2012 and 2020. So this looking at Bitcoin over a span of 10 years, you can definitely see that growth. So where I'm really looking at is I'm looking at kind of what Bitcoin pushing up to like the red territory here, maximum bubble territory. I know it's like these cycles always happen. I know it's probably not the best way to grow something. These hype and dump, or like these hype cycles, they come and go. But apparently that's what people kind of like. And something I've learned these few years is that the market always moves like that, no matter how you try to prevent it. And I've seen so many Bitcoin maximalists trying to preach, they try to make this graph like a linear chart of growth. I mean, obviously that's great, but human emotion never plays out like that, right? So right now we're at this point where we could be entering the FOMO intensifies period. This could be a possibility, which I'm looking at. So right now, $68,000, and then once it kind of reaches that state, people really don't want to miss out on Bitcoin, right? The stimulus check is coming in. Maybe that's going to kind of be the ignition point for that FOMO, and I'm pushing it Bitcoin up to maximum bubble territory. And then of course that's when you have to be really, really careful. Like we're already in the red, but there's deep red. And then of course there's always that risk of Bitcoin falling back down and touching these lines. So anyways, that's the cycle for you. And we're kind of midway on the cycle, so far. So what the rainbow chart shows. Now we're going to take a look at Ethereum as well. ETH hasn't really moved too much, to be honest. Yeah, it's kind of just stuck here. It's kind of stuck here, right? It hasn't really approached 2000. So this cycle, this entire week, it hasn't really approached $2,000, right? So that's where kind of the last time it got rejected. That was the all-time high. It hasn't approached that yet. So ETH is kind of taking a breather at this current point. There's a lot of action on the altcoin front. So this is like kind of the perfect climate. If this is what was a weather forecast, you'll be like, oh, this is like the perfect conditions for altcoins to grow. And altcoins grow, they did. So we definitely see there was a lot of activity on the altcoin side. Even on the altcoin index, we definitely see we're moving up. Right. So more and more people discovering altcoins. They're getting a little bit bored of Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? The majors, they haven't moved too much in the last 2 weeks. And people who want and demand news on an hourly or a minute-wise basis, they're looking towards altcoins to see where the innovations are at. So right now, yes, altcoins are definitely heating up. This is kind of interesting as well. Same thing. It's also on the blockchain center. It's the altcoin alt season index. I kind of always like looking at this, but yeah, so altcoins are definitely heating up. You definitely see that the indices is increasing, and it's also reflected in the market as well. If you look at the past 7 days, of course, in the top 100s, you definitely see a lot of explosive growth on the altcoin front, right? Like, yes, there was a pullback in the last 24 hours, but if you look at 7 days, there's definitely a lot of activity here. It's very, very asymmetrical. You can definitely see huge growths, whilst on the other side, the flip side, things being reduced, it's not as strong. So definitely see a lot of asymmetry going on there, a lot of movement in the altcoin space, and a lot of new coin launches too. This is where the space gets very exciting. So personally, for me, I'm definitely preparing for an alt season. You guys know I have like kind of separate portfolios. That's how I arrange my brain. The Bitcoin, Ethereum front, I don't really touch, but altcoin side, I'm pretty heavy into that. And there's a lot of action happening. So this is where I'm kind of paying a lot of attention this week. You kind of see that I'm ramping up my own research. As I've said this year, I've been mostly focused on investor first, YouTuber second. I mean, yes, it does mean, it's a little bit unfortunate. I have to apologize to this channel. We're not going to always be able to stream right now. Like, I feel like a lot of times I'd rather have monitor the market over producing videos, because video production does take a little bit of time. So anyways, but this week, definitely this weekend, a lot of focus on taking up new positions. And if you guys are interested on coming up and discuss, I will definitely do a few Clubhouse chats over the weekend if you guys are interested. So make sure you're on with me on Clubhouse. And of course, if you guys are on Telegram, just give a shout out, say hi. Currently, of course, Telegram is a little bit closed. Our channels are closed, but we'll try to hopefully open it up at some time. So anyways, a lot has happened, especially if you actually look at a few coins. I just want to give shout outs to Linear. So Linear yesterday was just crazy. It just went ape, right? If you look at the past 14 days, look at that giant spike, the giant crazy push on Linear. So Linear got listed on Binance. It was one of the coins I interviewed very early on. I saw a few comments earlier that you're saying, I think it was, let me just say, let me see who it was. I definitely saw a comment, someone who did like a 70x on Linear. So congrats. That was something that I've held on for some time, and I was just like, wow, like yesterday, that explosive growth on listing on Binance. So Angela Wang says, congrats to all Linear holders. Definitely congratulations on there. If you're a part of that action, that's insane, right? The magnitude, the scale of that is insane. And a lot of people were thanking me yesterday because I did talk about Linear very early on, and a lot, not just about price speculation. Everyone loves price speculation, but it was about the stuff that they're doing, creating these synthetic assets. This is something that really exploded this year. It was something that I had to admit at a point, right before talking and reconfiguring my brain, because for the longest amount of time, I didn't really believe in these synthetic assets, something like DAI. One of the reasons being is because these synthetic assets are exactly that. They're synthetic. They're created based on a backing of cryptocurrencies, but they represent the value of something else. And Linear does that, right? So Linear allows the creation of just a lot of different assets, and they allow people to create, say LUSD. You can create a linear version of USD. It represents the value of USD, but it's not backed by USD. It's backed by US, but not by USD. It's backed by linear and other crypto assets. And this is something that's going to go across chain very soon, and you're going to be allowed to both exchange and swap. Now, initially, when I thought about these concepts and this concept of kind of a collateralized coin, a synthetic asset, right? This was something I was like, no, this cannot work because ETH prices are too volatile. But what we're seeing now is that with prices and with the collateral being more diversified, it's actually starting to work. And this is becoming something of a very powerful tool. I mean, synthetics had this, DAI had this concept, but Linear really extends that to multi-platform and increases the usability of that. So anyways, I felt that was kind of why that pulled me in. And then obviously now I think a lot of people are realizing that too. So I guess definitely congrats to all those Linear holders out there. Now let's talk a little bit about the news and what's happening. So I definitely feel like the altcoin space, it's pretty explosive at this current point. And I think, yeah, sometimes I struggle to talk about it, obviously, because it's very high risk too, and there are investments that can go completely to zero. And I've had that happen before, where something that is very hopeful, it just empties out, goes to zero. All right. So I feel like that's why, for me personally, yet again, not financial advice, but for me personally, I have like these kind of segments of my brain, the Bitcoin segment, the E segment, and the altcoin segment. And I kind of like isolate these. It's almost like isolated accounts on, say, a trading platform. A lot of people have this isolation mode where if one strategy fails, then it doesn't really affect the rest. And that's kind of how I'm taking things. But I feel like a lot of people kind of mismanage this and then they go ape, and that's when disasters happen, where they lose everything, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like what crypto has taught me is about segmentation and having isolation. Anyways, let's go a little bit to the news. I think there's definitely a lot of news happening. This caught my eye. So SEC issues first ever charges over phony insider information on the dark web, and we definitely see that a lot, right? Why this is important is because we see a lot of phony information on the dark web. In crypto space, you definitely go into every chat and they're like, Binance listing soon, right? No matter what coin, like Binance listing soon, guys. I got some secret information. This Binance listing is happening because everyone knows once the Binance listing happens, there's going to be an explosive growth, right? Like look at like yet again, take the case of Linear. Once Binance was announced, you definitely see that spike up. But obviously, that's everyone wants to cause this now. So I've been seeing a lot of just absolute fake comments on this. Like, so this is something that's definitely getting cleaned up. But before it gets cleaned up in the space, man, like if I had a penny for every time someone said Binance listing soon to a project, I think I'll be very, very well off by this point. So just be a little bit careful of that, guys. This is happening a lot, and law enforcement I don't think it can keep up with that sort of spam out there. But anyways, that's a little bit of a warning right there. All right, so Bitcoin bulls hold back as Bitcoin BTC's monthly futures expire. So everyone's kind of speculating what's going to happen at this point. There could be some pullbacks that are coming. So yet again, I don't really value too much and look too much into this. I know everyone loves this, but in terms of speculation, I feel like this is kind of like, I feel like crypto is overly speculative. But anyways, futures expiring soon. Take that as you want. Now, here is a little bit of salt that I saw, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Bank of America sees DeFi potentially more disruptive than Bitcoin itself. Very, very interesting. So, yes, banks are a little bit salty here. There's no good reason to own Bitcoin unless you see prices going up, says a bank, but it's intrigued by decentralized finance. I don't know how many of these comments we'll see in the next few years, right? I mean, it's interesting because they want to give some value to DeFi because they definitely see that as a competitor, but they still want to bash Bitcoin, even though for the last 10 years, Bitcoin has been just going like this, right? Okay, fine. It's going like this, but the speed at which it's going up is much greater than the speed at which it's going down, right? Bitcoin has been buried by a lot of these reports for the longest period of time. So if you look at the last 10 years, Bank of America has been saying Bitcoin has no value. And now, oh no, why? Why didn't it go to zero? Huh? But anyways, I mean, if you do a logic check here, it's very obvious that the banks want to support the fiat currencies, but that's because they have a very strong hold there. They control the keys, right? They're like Bank of America. They have all the licenses, and they can be ahead of everyone else. But if they go to Bitcoin, if everyone moves to Bitcoin, then they're going to lose their advantage, right? So that was kind of always a fear that's coming into this place. It's interesting though that they're saying that DeFi is quite interesting. I feel like what's astonishing, right? Like because we're so used to what's happening in crypto, I feel like a lot of bankers don't understand how fast this space is growing. Like even in the DeFi scene, it grows every day almost, right? Between all these lending platforms, between the new platforms that do offer yield farming, also deployment of capital, also leverage lending, borrowing, flash loans. A lot of this stuff is like black magic to a lot of people. And I think this is very interesting because if you actually listen to the Senate talk about Libra, right? We'll bring back Libra here, Facebook Libra. This was a few years ago. A lot of senators during that talk or during the hearing was very surprised that crypto can move large sums of money across borders very, very efficiently. Right, so this starts with Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin in the world, over the world, anywhere in the world, any amount. And the same thing goes with these stable coins like USDT, USDC. You can transfer US value over just almost instantaneously, right? That's a lot of power, and a lot of people don't realize that this is here now. DeFi takes this to the next step, right? It allows deployment of capital, essentially what a bank does, right? You go on a lending platform, you can loan out your USDC that gets used in different strategies, deployed in different deployed in different projects and used in different ways to grow the ecosystem. That's kind of insane, right? So I definitely see this year there's a lot of money parked in crypto as well. This is where you can see a lot of yield farming platforms. Most of them are just bragging. They have like they can essentially get like $100 million total value locked in like 24 hours. That's how crazy DeFi is. But I feel like we're just beginning to see the start of this. Like this is gonna be a little bit crazy. I think this is gonna be quite crazy. Talking about that, of course, there are a few projects that are making DeFi a little bit easier for everyone. I feel like that, like recently, I've been doing quite a few kind of discussions and talks with different people, and something I definitely realized is that decentralized finance just completely baffles a lot of people, and having an easier entry point is good. So I've been talking a lot recently to keyTango. So they're making a platform that just makes it so much easier to get into DeFi. So they're using even AI to analyze certain products, analyze people's trends in the past to kind of like look at where they are at in terms of their knowledge of crypto. Like, say, for example, have they ever even used Uniswap, right? This is a decentralized exchange. If they use Uniswap, then maybe they can be interested in something else, like sister-in-law chain or something like that, kind of nudges them along the line, but won't go over into too much depth. That's something that I find quite struggling, that I struggle with on this channel, because this channel is general. And a lot of times I go very, very deep into that decentralized finance ecosystem. And then people are like, what are you talking about? Right? Like Cream deploys funds to Alpha Homora, and then Alpha does something else and leverage field farming, and it goes blah, 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 right? And down the chain. But I feel like this is something that is really necessary at this current point, where a lot of people are interested into this. And I have a lot of people who are asking me, hey, Michael, what's happening on DeFi? What's yield farming? Right? Well, really, you can get 20% on your USDC, like on stable coins. Like a lot of people don't realize this. And I feel like that's where the value is at. Like if bigger amounts of capital is to come, then people need to make this a lot easier. And a lot of people really confuse it. They're like, oh, you can get 20% or 80% APY, but you must get your exposure to Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin's very volatile. No, you don't. A lot of times people yield farm on stables, and you have to kind of slowly explain that to people. So I feel like these are kind of what you want to look at, right? So keyTango is a project that actually makes it and analyzes what people have, and it kind of pushes and nudges them along the journey. I think that's kind of very cool on that front. And the other talk I would say is also we have DAO Ventures, very much a similar idea as well. It's a DeFi dashboard. I feel like this is something that's super necessary these days. Like at the end of the day, you need to be able to have easier access. I feel like DeFi right now currently has just a very handful, small group of people in the know. But yeah, I feel like the next step is really this, where kind of taking that to the next level. Now, something that I do want to say that's quite negative and scares people away from this place, and I saw this, was something that happened earlier on this week on the 15th. If you guys are on Binance Smart Chain, you probably noticed that there was a big red flag on PancakeSwap. So PancakeSwap and Cream domains both had hijackings. That kind of sucks. I mean, so what happened was that some hacker managed to take over these domains, and when people browse PancakeSwap, there was a prompt that came up to say, hey, put your private key here. Hey, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? Put access to all your crypto in this little box. I think a lot of you guys are definitely not, stupid enough to ever do that. Never ever reveal your private key to someone. That's like the first rule of crypto, right? But I'm sure that these hackers definitely did manage to get away with something, because I feel like a lot of times these scams work and kind of prey on people who don't understand how crypto works. And crypto, you'll never ever need to put your private key to something, right? That's number one. And your private, that in a way, that's good that you have a ledger, because your ledger and Trezor and all these private, all these hardware wallets actually hide everything. So long as you lock your words up in a safe and you never touch them again, ever, never give it out to anyone, that's much safer than like, other shitty stuff that happens. But yes, there was a domain hijack. People are trying to figure out how this happened. Very likely what happened is that it happened and attacked either GoDaddy or the domain registrar. So this is something that it's the stupidest thing. And I had friends that experienced very similar things before. What happens is that a hacker, they kind of find the identity of the people who register these domains, and then they go and call GoDaddy, right? They go call the domain registrar and say, yo, I'm this person. I lost control over my domain. Please help me. And they'll reveal, the customer service might ask them a few questions about, what's your name, date of birth, blah, blah, blah. Hackers will have this on hand and then answer these questions correctly and then take over the account. So I think that's what happened. I haven't really fully. This happened a lot to my friends because GoDaddy and stuff are just shit. So very likely that's what happened. And then something, a stark reminder as well, guys. You're in crypto. Understand that the private key should never be compromised. And I think the hackers could have done something even more shady there. Like they could have tried to replace your MetaMask extension. Maybe say, oh, look, your MetaMask extension is at risk. Click this link, download this version, this variant of the MetaMask extension, and then use it too. And then that's going to cause even more damage. So I felt like it's good that the damage is relatively controlled at, the lowest level, but it could have been much worse. And I feel like this is something that's unfortunate about the internet infrastructure. I know there's a few lawsuits even to go over this, and we'll probably see that soon coming out from both Cream and PancakeSwap to sue people who, or these companies that manage domains that just give it out, like candy, like just give control over this domain out like candy. So anyways, that's pretty stupid. But anyways, on that note as well, very quickly, guys. So I do want to say that this type of identity theft is very common, and a lot of people who have, like, say, their Google account secured by their phone number, right? When you have your Gmail, you secure that account with your phone number, and then maybe that Gmail is used for an exchange. A lot of times hackers use your phone as the main point of weakness. They'll pretend to be you, go to your phone company and say, yo, I'm so and so, this is my date of birth, this is my address. Hackers can find this information and they'll pretend it's you and steal your SMS or steal your phone. This is actually extremely dangerous, and we've seen that happen to a lot of people. So whilst we're here and talking about safety, make sure you don't use phone 2FA on a lot of your accounts, whether you want to use hardware, like hardware wallets, or you can use something like this, what I have here, which is the YubiKey, or even phone Google Authenticator SMS, Google Phone Authenticator, anything but SMS. SMS is the least safe way, especially just hearing these stories of how a lot of these phone companies just give out your phone number to random strangers if they have your information. That's not good. That's not smart. So yeah, it's called SIM swap. Yes, SIM swap happens a lot. So just be careful. There's definitely more sophisticated SIM swaps out there, and other attacks that use your identity. They can even steal your address, etc. So yeah, not limited to phones. SIM swaps too. They can try to do a full identity theft. So definitely be very careful. Definitely have hardware security. That's the way to do it. All right. On some much more brighter news, all right, we have the NFT space is completely blowing up. So we got Andreessen Horowitz. They are leading a $23 million round for the marketplace OpenSea. It's insane, right? So if you guys have been following NFTs, this whole topic has been exploding everywhere. This non-fungible token led by the Beeple sale. I think a lot of people were surprised at the $69 million sale of a digital piece of art, right? So a lot of people are looking at NFTs now. In fact, I've seen like millions of YouTube videos about NFTs. It's kind of hilarious to see that over the week, because we've been exploring this space very early. I've also been taking investments into NFT space very, very early. If you guys saw Engine, you guys probably know I've been following that project for a long time. But it's finally catching traction, and it's a situation where I do have to relay some experience. Initially, NFTs didn't get that much traction, right? This was around for a while, but people didn't really see the use cases for it. But now, obviously, that wave is here. It's heating up. I mean, you got Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, and everyone just jumping on this train because they realize that people like collecting stuff, right? I think like 10 years ago, people would have said, "Oh, people collect shoes." Huh? Oh, really? Like like, but sneakerheads are real, right? And I think NFT heads are also going to be something that's very big as well, because obviously with NFTs, it solves a lot of the issues with collecting. Like, for example, you can know your rarity, you can know authenticity, you can know what the records of the sales are, the previous sales, a sale history. This kind of does a lot of the job of these big auction houses, right? Because that's what they kind of do. That being said, of course, obviously, I think there's a lot of speculation in the NFT space where people just want to speculate on everything, and I don't think it's for everyone at this current point. I definitely feel like the kind of the art community is finding out about this, and you can have like these $60 million sales. Regardless, I think if there's money flowing to this, right? I've seen, how much this art market is worth. I've been actually watching a lot of kind of these documentaries and shows about to try to understand the fine art world a little bit more. It's not one of my strengths, I'll be honest here. I'm not an art collector by any means, nor can I create art at any means. But I definitely want to find out how much it's like being an analyst for that industry. You need to know how much that industry is worth, because if this can be a thing, if digital art can be a thing and collecting digital art can be a thing, it's going to be pretty wicked. I saw this as well. So non-fungible tokens. I saw this, which is Elon Musk tweeting, they don't know I own the song's non-fungible token, right? Because non-fungible tokens can represent anything, not just digital art, but it can represent maybe intellectual property, right? An NFT for a song, NFT for a tweet, NFT for what else is there? Like financial assets for insurance. There's a lot that can go on in the space. And I feel like right now we're still at the hype phase where we don't know what works and what doesn't. And we're still at the proving that there is a market for this long term, right? So a lot of people, I think me included, I'm kind of a little bit baffled sometimes at these big numbers for art that's going out. But can these markets sustain itself? I think this will be the next question for the next 5 years. That being said, I'm definitely excited for this because this has actually brought a lot of people to understand crypto, especially a lot of artists. I'll be honest, like digital artists, I've been in the gaming industry for some time. And one of my roles in the gaming industry was to source digital art. So finding, say, CG artists to draw like these grand, CG art pieces, and also artists to design characters, to design models. This is a very kind of cutthroat industry. A lot of artists don't make that much money, right? That's the unfortunate part. Art, a lot of times you definitely see that too, right? Like the art world favors a few certain artists, and then the other artists have to go out on the streets and draw portraits of people, right? It's unfortunate. But I feel like having this NFT space means that there's going to be a lot more access. So people who they might create this very good art. They may never enter the auction houses of Christie's, but they can enter the auction houses of OpenSea, right? I think this is one of the biggest assets. So people kind of prove that, right? So people, he made a lot of hype waves very early on OpenSea, and then Christie's took notice of him, right? So I feel like that's kind of where the opportunity for artists are, and I feel like the space that can grow up. So definitely taking a lot of interest. I'm helping a lot with Refinable. That's coming out very soon, where Refinable is a platform that offers kind of art sales, but on Binance Smart Chain, because Binance Smart Chain is super fast. So yet again, I feel like this is definitely that's coming. This is definitely that's, get really cool art, get access to that, and of course allow a platform for trade. And again, why should we just have two parties, like two big auction houses, right, to dominate, Christie's and Sotheby's? Why do we just have that? Why can't we have more auction places? And I feel like that's kind of powerful. Irish guy says, can you NFT your name? Can NFT impact the music industry? Asks a lot of people. So I think it's still right now, it's still very early stage. Like we don't know how well these things can get adopted. In fact, we've even discussed NFT in the music industry with Machi X for some period of time, like around 2 years ago. But adoption takes a little bit of time, and that's something I realized as well. You can have these grand visions, but then it takes a little bit of time for people to slowly understand this, and for the regulation to move around that too. So I definitely see that this is something that can be done, like NFT of the song, right? like think about the power of that, right? If you can, buy an NFT representing some latest, I don't know, like Billie Eilish song or something. I don't know what the cool kids like these days. I have terrible music taste, by the way. But if you can invest into that, like people will be more willing to share that music too, right? That create the more viral effect. So you definitely see that potentially that sort of gameplay could work, or not just gameplay. As a gameplay designer, I think everything is a sort of gameplay. But if people can invest in their favorite song, right, and they benefit from the success of that song, that's gonna be crazy, right? Because that's gonna increase the virality factor of that song by a lot, right? It's always going to amplify what's going to happen. So maybe I think that could be an interesting play, especially right now. It's not very well explored. Obviously, it's going to be regulatory hurdles involved as well. So, say for example, if this song is played a lot, and you hold the rights to the song, do you earn more, right? These are questions that I think will be tackled in the next few years, right? How do you get this kind of, how do you move money across in that sense, right? And that's going to be very, very interesting. Imagine all these like cool kids just like buying NFTs to their own songs and then just showing that. I don't know. And then get rich off that. That's kind of cool. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the best music taste in the world, but I definitely see the opportunity there. All right. We got Mustafa Muhammad says, I've been trying to join a TG channel for a year now. I'll try. I know, like, ZODME says, I know someone who sold her art for 8 ETH, but in person her art sells for $15. Kind of weird. I think so. I think all the artists were just like blown away at how much money there is here. Yeah, I would definitely say if you're an artist, like if you have artistic ability, which I do not, like I'll be right flat out and say I don't have any artistic ability, right? But if you do have artistic ability, if you're an artist, I think this is a great time to just create your own brand, like be your own agent, right? Like the problem with art is that a lot of times it's like kind of revolved around um a few select group of people. It's almost like the music industry where it's very tightly controlled by record labels. If you can go indie, like this space allows you to go indie and go big, right? Like I think that's powerful. I think that's really powerful. So yeah, if you're an artist, get on this right now because yeah, you can earn ETH out of this. Like it's crazy. All right, so moving on the NFT space, we also have FM Gallery. So this is a project I'm looking at recently, and they're also doing blockchain NFT artworks, and they're moving more towards the art side of everything. So they're doing the gallery side, they're showing different pieces of art. They did the Genesis art, which is really, really hot, right? If you actually look at how the the Genesis art, I think I showed you guys some of the Genesis art that they have where yeah, let me see if that's there. There's an AMA. It's done by the Chinese team, and they actually collected a lot of interest from the Chinese society. Like, yeah, the Genesis drops. These were super cool. Like, it's insane. I think the quality of art is getting better now as well. Like, if you actually want to see more beautiful art, I think the quality is rapidly accelerating, and that's really good. So yeah, FM Gallery, if you guys are interested in checking out their art and what they're doing in terms of art gallery and curation, I think that's super, super cool. Yet again, for me, a lot of education because like I said, I'm not an art dealer by any means. I'm not Jihan Chu, but I definitely am interested in how this can relate. I've sourced art in the past. I was pretty savage at sourcing art in the past, trying to find the best deals to make for the company to make digital art for our video game, but never exposed myself to the art trading scene. And I think that's where we're going now. That's where we are going now. All right. So moving on that as well, let's see what's next. So this is also interesting on the news front. So we got BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes offers to surrender to U.S. authorities in Hawaii. Under this proposal, Hayes will be allowed release on a $10 million bond secured by $1 million in cash. Pretty cheap, huh? Pretty cheap. I mean, I'm pretty sure that at some points in the past, BitMEX would probably make around $1 million a day. It's chump change for Arthur Hayes. But regardless of Trump change or not, it's very important to follow because this is one of the biggest cases against crypto exchanges, right? So BitMEX, they were offering these leverage trading positions, and then they kind of the story here is that if you take on U.S. customers, that's not good, and because of regulation reasons. And the other thing is, of course, if there are people that are, if your AML policies are not up to par, that's kind of where they're really taking this, right? Where they're pushing the Bank Secrecy Act and saying, okay, look, did you really do KYC for people who are trading over 10,000 US dollars worth of currency? So that's what they're hitting them hard on. It's important to follow this case because I do notice that a lot of exchanges right now are offering withdrawals and deposit for around 2 Bitcoin, right, without KYC. So this might actually really kind of change the way crypto exchanges, at least centralized crypto exchanges, operate, because if the Bank Secrecy Act, and that's what they hit BitMEX with, and that's where they get in trouble with, then a lot of exchanges might either follow suit or might go into trouble as well. So this is why it's important to follow this case, because it kind of really indicates where the regulation is heading. Yet again, not a lawyer, but I'm definitely eyeing this very, very closely and trying to get as many lawyers I know to also comment on this as well, because I want to know what's happening, because this really affects everything that happens in this space. All right, a few things as well. Let's do some chats on what's happening. I think someone commented ADA dumps discuss. I don't even know what there's to discuss. I mean, something goes up, something goes down, right? I'm not too sure why people are very surprised about this. So yes, Cardano took a 11% hit. You know my view on Cardano. I think, like, I'm not the biggest Cardano supporter, but I'm happy for their success. They've been moving up very, very heavily for the past few days. I don't think it's relatively helpful to discuss these short-term price movements. I think a lot of people do that all the time. They're like, oh my god, it dumped 11% today. Okay, so what? It's above $1, right? People who got in at like 10 cents, they're probably laughing all the way to the bank at this current point. So go figure. So anyways, yeah, trading hourly doesn't really work out. And a lot of people, something that I've seen that's a trend in the space, the people who've been around for a long time, like, none of us trade on an hourly basis. Like, we look at broad movements. A lot of people DCA. And I think it's like the longer you've been in the space, the more humble you are. I think if you just enter the space, and I've seen this happen all the time, people feel like they can time every single second of the market, right? Just boom, boom, boom. Like, and I've seen so many people get wrecked because of this, right? They feel like, oh man, this is the lowest point for this hour for Ripple. And then they're going to buy Ripple at 100x leverage. And then boom, their accounts get wiped like 2 hours later, right? Like, it happens almost all the time in crypto. Like, I don't understand. Like, I guess I'm like, for me as a person, I've always been playing it on a little bit more of the cautious side, but that's also why I've survived, right? I feel like that's quite important to remember too. Like, I've been in this space since 2017. I made huge gains, I made huge losses, but at the end of the day, I survived, right? And I don't think a lot of people can say that, right? A lot of people, they probably just went into crypto, then saw Bitcoin dump, and then just exited, took a huge loss, GG, wrecked, game over, right? But for me, I've been playing it a lot less aggressive. Like, in the start, I had a huge Bitcoin portfolio. I didn't really go into altcoins at all, right? I didn't go to any of the ICOs, any of the hype. I Bitcoin very early, and I said that at that point I was very, very at risk of becoming a maximalist. Then I started understanding more about what's happening on Ethereum. Then I started understanding what's happening on this new altcoin space, what everything's happening, and the whole ecosystem. And every ecosystem is different, right? And that took a lot of time. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of full-time time too. So yeah, it was not easy. And I think the way I set it up now, where I have like these separate kind of mentalities, it's almost like I'm running 3 separate funds at this current point. But that's all right. That's all right. Brandon Smith says, just sell high, buy low. Most people do the other way. Most people do the other way. So Flatsmax says everyone with ADA went broke. I don't think so, right? ADA is still it's still ripping it. I don't know why people love it, but people love it. It's a thing. All right. So XYW says, any thought about fan tokens? And I think this is a good time to bring up one of the most controversial topics right now, which is Bitclout, right? Bitclout. Okay, how do I even begin to talk about this? So, so Bitclout essentially is it's like social media coins on steroids. So it parses Twitter, so it takes all everyone's tweets and stuff, and it makes them a personality, and it gives them their coin. It's very, very rough. I think the way I've had a few discussions with people about what is Bitclout and stuff. Everyone who is on Twitter, even you, like if you have a Twitter account, you'll have a Bitclout account. That's the way it goes. And Bitclout will sell your coins. That's even crazier. Bitclout, they won't offer you an opportunity of whether you want to sell your coins or not. They'll just say, oh, look, these are your coins. We're going to sell them on your behalf. If you don't claim them, tough luck, right? Go complain. Go cry to someone else. But everyone has their coins, and everyone on that platform has coins already. So even big influencers I've seen, like Elon Musk, have coins. Katy Perry has coins. Chamath Palihapitiya. Okay, I can't pronounce his name. I tried. But everyone has their coins there, right? Including, and I haven't claimed mine as well, box mining. But so this is actually relatively interesting because we've been talking about creator coins, influencer coins, whatever you want to call them, coins for people. Now, this is very savage because they never asked for permission first, right? This really took a playbook from some of the most savage internet companies in the world. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't ask for my permission to create this box mining coin. Apparently already it's been traded and people are buying it already. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even get permission for that. So that's Bitclout, and people need to use Bitclout to buy these coins. So this is where, yet again, it's it's very savage. It's promoting their own brand because Bitclout will always win if you can only use Bitclout to buy people's coins, right? So that's kind of where I feel like they're really pushing some boundaries and permissions. So in some ways, it's good because I think I've been always very hesitant at creating a coin because I feel like, what can this coin offer? Like, what is a content creator coin, right? And I've been thinking a lot of time, like, what sort of value can it offer? And a lot of people make this BS up. Oh, you can do like meet and greets and calls, and I don't think that's very interesting. Like, that's my but feeling, right? Like what should an influencer coin be? And I've in fact had a discussion of people like, should an influencer or creator coin be something like, even like maybe like investing in a person. Like I think one of the examples that was being discussed on it was on chat Clubhouse, right? Someone was like, oh, I know Sam Bankman-Fried, and if I could invest in this person, right? Like if I can invest in this person like 3 years ago, I would throw everything I had at this person, not his company, obviously, but his person, because Sam went on to create, of course, Alameda, FTX exchange, Serum. Yeah, he's got like $10 billion. So if you like, at least, right? That was what he said on the media after when journalists asked him. But yeah, if you can invest in a person, that'd be great. But Bitclout is not that. I just want to make the distinction there. The Bitclout, they just went ahead and sold these tokens, and whatever these tokens have value for and whatever they do, that is completely up in the air right now. So I feel like this is yet again a situation where technology is there, like everyone can create the token, but the purpose, right, is not yet very well defined. And even in the case of Sam Bankman-Fried, if you invest in him as a person, should you get equity of his future companies? That would be actually quite interesting. If he gave you, say, like if he reserved like 20% equity stake in all his future companies to all his token holders, and that equity goes straight to token holders, that would be super powerful. That would give the token a lot of value. But of course, there's a lot of legal ramifications beyond that. So anyways, I think we're at a point where technology is moving faster than what people can define and what people can use these tokens for. So I'm not for or against Bitclout. I think this is something that's relatively interesting. They're very savage. I think it's like the way that they push that boundary first. It's almost like Uber, right? They'll go into a town first and then ask for permission after, right? Same thing. They'll sell your tokens, right? They'll sell your tokens and then ask for your permission later. And I think that's not. I don't know. It might work. It might work very well. It might not. But something that is interesting. Last thing I want to say is by doing so, does that remove liability as well? Like if everyone has a token, the platform gave it out to you, and you have no permission of issuing this. I mean, like you're not involved, right? I don't know. That's also very interesting too, because I've seen people who are very brave and they create their own personal tokens. But is that security? What regulation should that follow? But if everyone has a token now, like we have like everyone in the world or everyone on Twitter having a token, how does that work? I think there was a suggestion for Box Plant token. I think that would be quite cool. Box Plant token, the plant influencer. If you guys are interested in that, Bitclout, here we go. Not box mining, box plant. That's the way to do it, right? That's the way to do it. This inanimate plant will choose the next 100x for you guys. All right. Okay, cool. So anyways, that's my thoughts on Bitclout. I feel like it's very rough. It's very savage. Like the way that they do it is very, very savage. It could be interesting, could not be interesting. A lot of people are obviously speculating on token price because they expect people to shill it in the future. So like show and pump their own token. But yeah, I think there's some ethical issues around that, but who knows, right? That's interesting. And there's endless threads about that. So anyways. All right, so what is up next? Definitely, I've been looking a lot into altcoins. Recently, InsureAce launched, so we're having an interview with them very soon. And I had to talk with these guys like around a month ago, talking about insurance and how that works. So expect that to come in the future, InsureAce. We also have some really interesting developments on PolkaFoundry. So that, again, I'm always queuing up a lot of stuff to talk about, which is really fun. Also, a reminder, guys, a lot of these launch pads are opening. Whitelist is required to register now. Personally, for me, I've been talking a lot to the Ethbox guys. I'm actually an advisor now for Ethbox after talking to them quite a bit. But yeah, Ethbox is opening up, interview coming up very soon. And yes, whitelists are registered. Like you probably have to register very soon for these whitelists. Same thing with Polka Starter. Lots of projects coming on Polka Starter. Both Tidal Finance, Shift, and Convergence Finance are coming up very soon on these platforms. So yeah, this space is moving super fast. Love it and hate it at the same time, right? Lots of new exciting developments, lots of expansion. Like insurance is something totally critical in this space. But yet again, like it's so hard to information store at this current point. So I definitely ask you guys, do your own research, make sure you understand what is going on. I definitely see a lot of unhealthy growth in a sense that everyone is jumping on to a platform now, like make more coins for the sake of making coins, right? But sometimes it works, sometimes it don't work. And I think we just have to have the expectation, right? Being able to manage finance, being able to properly manage your mind here is quite important. So anyways, Llama 666 says plant runs over bears with its Lambo. Nice. That's a personality. That's the personality we're going for. All right, guys. We're ready. We're ready, guys. We're ready. We got Eds, which is a big PolkaFoundry supporter. I think PolkaFoundry is actually super interesting because it's providing a lot of the necessary tools for building, right? You want more people to build, but right now people have to write the tools themselves, right? But if you can really have, like, say, an ID there, you have your cross-chain interoperability there, you have your data there, that could be quite interesting. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. Pollinator says, it looks like Bitclout is owning people's identities without permission theft IMO. I definitely think so. Like, in a way, like, they're forcing people to sell they're selling people's coins without their permission. And the problem is now it's like, okay, now I actually have to think about it. If I do claim my box mining coins, right, which I have not, if I do claim those, what value do I offer to people, right? Like, this is kind of interesting because now I feel like if I claim them, I'm responsible somehow for those coins, right? Like, people definitely speculated on those coins. But I haven't. It's not something that I said, oh, I want to sell this, right? It's something about thinking about, it's a force. It's almost like forcing my hand to think of the purpose. I think there was a comment about Sam Beckman-Fried also being forced to do this in this position, right? He was like, to be clear, this is not an endorsement or anything, but I can't believe I'm doing this. He actually tweeted and claimed his profile, because if you don't, it's like it forces you to do something that you may or may not want. If you don't claim that profile, it's gonna go haywire. You don't have any control over it. If you claim that profile, then you kind of have this like semi responsibility of providing a use case for it too, right? But anyways, Bitclout, man, Bitclout, savage AF, right? This is forcing people to do something that's crazy. Anyways, it's fun. Big Cryptogram says, I'm assuming someone's Twitter account could be hacked and their tokens could be claimed. That could be possible too, because all you have to do is you just have to tweet out that message, like, and then if you, yeah, that's actually quite a good thing. Like if someone does hack my Twitter and then they sent out that message, they can claim the tokens without me knowing. So that's kind of scary. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for today. Lots going on. A lot of people are asking about Refinable. So the best way to know about Refinable is there's a few AMAs coming up. So make sure you tune into those. And yeah, there's definitely a lot going on. So with that, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up this episode. Also, whilst we're here, so I totally forgot to... not totally forgot. Today, there's going to be a really big event in Hong Kong. So I've been hinting at this for the past week or so. And that's going to be the grand opening of Genesis Block in not just in Wan Chai, but in Tsim Sha Tsui. So this is one of the biggest districts in Hong Kong. Very, very central. Lots and lots of traffic. It's going to be Bitcoin Center there. And the best thing about that Bitcoin Center is it's right opposite a bank. All right, this is the new versus the old. This is the right opposite. It's Hang Seng Bank, which is owned by HSBC in Hong Kong, right? So it's right next to Hang Seng Bank. They opened up a location. People can cash into crypto, get in. There's also like these ATMs. You can buy both Bitcoin, Ethereum, OMG even. You can buy all these coins at their ATM in this very, very prime location. So I'm super excited because it's really like crypto's really changed the landscape of Hong Kong, right? Like before, so my story of Genesis Block is I went there when I first started crypto, right? So I actually got an invite from Clement Ip, which is now one of my really best friends in the space. And like it's important to have people an entry point and understanding a physical location, right? And Genesis Block offered that. They had like a shared space. They had, people where you can ask questions, where they can help set up the keys and everything. So this is kind of continuing on that idea. Not just Genesis Block in Wan Chai, but they're opening up a new location in Tsim Sha Tsui. So I really think this is going to be a big for Hong Kong. I actually had a sneak peek of it last week, and something that's interesting is that there's so much foot traffic and so much curiosity into crypto. I think this is something that we'll see in today's episode, right? A lot of people very curious of what's going on in the cryptocurrency space, and they're not fully sure of whether they can go in or not, but I think that's where the center comes in, right? This is where the value is. So, anyways, this is the location. So I actually took a picture of this last week. So it's Genesis Block. They're opening up. They even have this wall here of Bitcoin, if the cryptocurrency prices, right? Bitcoin 360 right there. But yes, they're opening up. The grand opening is today, so I'll be there in person to talk about them. There's also been a whole journalist section as well. So I'm really, really excited. This is going to be something very huge for Hong Kong. I'll be there. So it's going to be in 5 hours. I'll send you guys a link. So if you guys are up at that time, make sure you guys come in, say hi. There's also going to be quite a few surprise visits as well. A lot of projects in Hong Kong are going to come and visit that location. So yes, definitely tune in. There's going to be quite a few interviews. We got those scheduled up. It's going to be super, super, super exciting. So anyways, guys, check in to, it's going to be around in 5 hours. 5 hours. Just click the link. So I sent the link up on the chat. Make sure you guys click the link, click the set the reminder button. It's going to be fully live It's gonna be super fun. It's gonna be 8 p.m. HKT. And yeah, we're gonna walk around the space. We're gonna see what everything is around there. We're gonna see the traffic of people, kind of curiously looking at what this Bitcoin thing is. Hong Kong people, they're not very convinced about Bitcoin. They're gonna give you the eye. That's gonna be fun, and I think it's gonna be super interesting to follow. So guys, come in, and see what's up. And if you guys are in Hong Kong, try to show up, I guess. But the only problem right now is there is a limitation how many people can come, so don't all come in Hong Kong at once. But yeah, today 6 p.m. and that's gonna happen. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching today, and yeah, we'll see you guys very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next episode. I'd like to take the time now to tell you a little bit about everything that's happening in the box mining ecosystem. First and foremost, if you guys like listening to all that's happening in crypto on the go, then I would highly recommend you checking out the Box Mining Bitcoin Out of the Box podcast. And the reason why it's called Bitcoin Out of the Box is because we have long interview segments very much exploring the detail of the newest and latest of what's going on in this whole cryptocurrency space. Whole idea of it is to bridge that gap between knowledge privileged institutional investors and the rest of us here in this space. Now, with the podcast, it's on everything. So it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google Podcasts, it's on Spotify. Just search it anywhere, Bitcoin Out of the Box. So just add that onto a playlist and let's just follow the new episodes when it's released. Next up, we also have the Box Mining newsletter. So this happens roughly bi-weekly. We give you an update of the latest that's going on in a very summarized, condensed format. So this is perfect for anyone that wants an overview of the market. Say, for example, what's happening with OKX, the biggest event, or maybe the little things like what's happening with different coins and overall the trend. So what I use the newsletter for personally myself is to understand what kind of phase we're in crypto, to kind of get in tune. So if you don't read crypto every day, the newsletter is perfect for you. Last but not least, in the link down below, if you're a Telegram user, we have the Box Mining announcements channel. So this is to announce to you basically what's the latest videos coming up, but also we have a daily update, a community-driven daily update to provide you an idea of the latest updates on the day. And a lot of people have been using that to get informed of the crazy amounts of trends that we see. And I have to give a big thank you for Claudio, our community member, for doing this. It's just been phenomenal. Definitely want to give you a shout out there, Claudio, as well for that. And taking us to the end of the live stream, so make sure, number one, you click like and subscribe on this video because it really does help this channel. And then, of course, check out the podcast. It's one of the best ways to know a little bit more, to extend that knowledge, especially in your spare time. And then, of course, check out the newsletter. If you're, if you want those updates and summaries and trends, newsletter is the place for you. And with that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you have a good one. See you in the next video.